now to use pumpkins for dessert, we're going to make a pumpkin pudding cake. Now, pudding cake is a very old traditional American dessert. However, it might not be that familiar to you. So it kind of combines the best of both worlds when it comes to creating a pumpkin pudding, as well as something that's a little bit more dense, cake-like. So one of the first things we need to talk about is creaming. Creaming is where we're going to take some butter and sugar and we're going to put it into a KitchenAid mixer with a paddle attachment. And we're going to put it onto a medium speed, and that medium speed is going to aerate the butter and sugar. Now, once we find that the sugar and the butter is coming together nicely, then we can increase the speed, and what we're looking is for the sugar and the butter to start kind of adhering to the side of the mixing bowl. So this is our cream mixture. You'll notice that the color is a lot lighter than normal, regular, unsalted butter. So we've got something that's a pale yellow, almost a straw yellow, and then it's also adhering to the sides. It's doubled in volume or so, so we're about ready to add into the mixture our egg yolks. We're adding in the egg yolks one at a time to make sure that they fully incorporate into the mixture, and also so that when we add the moisture, it's not going to be chasing around the inside of the mixing bowl. Lift up the paddle attachment and then just scrape down, making sure that you get everything off of there. And that way you're making sure also that it fully incorporates in and you're not left with any big chunks of sugar that hasn't dissolved. After we add in the egg yolks to our cream butter mixture, we want to go ahead and add in the milk. The reason why we want to add the milk now is because we have a chance for keeping everything nice and homogenized and not getting any lumps when it comes to adding in our flour. And we're going to add in our bread flour, and then make sure that you turn the KitchenAid back on to low. You might need to pulse this from time to time, which basically means turning it on and then turning it right back off. And that's to make sure that the flour doesn't spray up in the air and into your face. Just like we did before, we need to scrape down the sides. And the next thing that we're going to incorporate in there is our pumpkin puree. All right, so this is our canned pumpkin, and we can add that in all at one time. You'll notice that it starts looking a lot more like a cake batter. We're going to transfer it to a new mixing bowl, and the reason why we're going into a new mixing bowl is so that we have enough space for our egg whites. Now for the egg whites, I've taken the liberty of already mixing that ahead of time. And so you take the 10 egg whites and you start whisking that until it gets nice and frothy. After that, you're going to take half of your remaining sugar and whisk it into the egg whites. And we're going to fold this into our pumpkin mixture. We're going to fold it in two ways. The first way is just to soften up the mixture. So we're going to take half of the egg whites, and we're really not folding, but whisking in the egg whites. And this is to soften it up to make it easier for folding in the egg whites later. And the reason why I say folding in is because we're actually going to be very gentle with the egg whites later on, because those egg whites are going to provide us with a lot of good airy texture. And you want to make sure that you don't see any visible traces of the egg white. Like right now, we need to keep whisking more. We want to make it to where it looks homogeneous, and it's that nice kind of orangey pumpkin looking color. Now for the second part, pour in the egg whites, and we're going to fold that in very gently. So you come from the middle and you lift up, and you keep doing that until most of the egg whites are incorporated. So this is about done. You don't want to whisk too much. You can still see a little bit of visible meringue, but you don't have something that has large streaks of meringue running through the batter. So we're going to take our prepared sheet tray, and it's already lined with plastic wrap. To make my life easier, I also put onto the sheet tray ahead of time a little bit of Pam, and then it's ready for the batter to pour onto it. Now using your spatula, just spread it out. It's going to rise a little bit, so it's not important if it's all the same height, but you want to get it to where it's fairly consistent. So now we're going to take our pudding cake and put it into a 350-degree oven for 20 minutes. We're going to put that into a water bath, so let's go ahead and see how we're going to set that up. So we take our pudding cake and we go into our sheet tray that's already in the oven. You need to be careful because this is all very hot, but the reason why we're doing this is so that you don't burn yourself more. We're going to pour into that sheet tray water until it's almost up to the edges, the very top edges of our pudding cake. And that water bath is going to help it to cook very evenly and very gently. So now that we have enough water in there, let's go ahead and close the oven and come back in 20 minutes.